Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. So let's get straight down to it, shall we? So the dust has settled on Takam Joyce. A 6-round TKO victory for JoyceUsyk. The juggernaut, so to speak, marches on. He's now positioned himself very comfortably with the WBO. He's basically got the winner of Usyk, Joshua, and credit to him for that. You can't deny the Daniel Dubois win was the win that has earned him that shot. And he's ready. At 36 years of age, silver medalist in the Olympics, you know, he's ready. And yes, he hasn't had as many pro fights as, say, a Joshua or even a Usyk, but the time is now. He's got to strike now while he's young enough, while he's strong enough, while he's fit enough. However, I'm trying to think of positives before I get to negatives. The negatives is that we all know that fight against Takam was not great. That was not what I would want to see vintage world-class level boxing. Yes, he moves to 13-0, and some would say, 13 stoppages. And there's no question about it. Although he looks cumbersome, he does hold power in his hands, and he's got a rodding jab when he wants with his left hand. But the amount of times that Takam caught him flush, especially that overhand right, that does not bode well. Joyce is cumbersome. He's slow. He looked out of shape to me as well. He did not look as quick or as fit or as fast. I know he was probably 6-7 pounds heavier than he was for the Dubois fight. He's just not world title level. That's that. I mean, I don't know how else to say about JoyceUsyk, but he's going to get knocked out by Anthony Joshua. I don't care how good your chin is. You cannot take them amount of punches flush. And this was off a 40-year-old man in Takam. Joshua's not 40. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's got faster hands, he punches harder. And, I'm sorry, it'll catch you with combinations. That's the one thing Joyce didn't do. He didn't catch Joyce with combinations. If he had done, I think he'd have got him out there within the first 3 rounds. He's trying to load up on one single shot and then not coming back with any more. Joshua doesn't do that. He throws the uppercut, the right hand, the hooks. He can get you in all kinds of places. And I don't think Joyce, on that performance on Saturday night, is going to survive with Joshua. I don't think he's better boxer than Joshua. I don't even think he's got a particularly better jab. Maybe that's a bit harsh. Maybe his left hand has. But, Joshua can jab. He can match him with jab, unlike Dubois, who had no idea. And also, Joshua's got a better defence than Daniel Dubois, a 22, 23-year-old novice, really, in terms of world level. And, he punches just as hard as Dubois, but he punches in combinations, and he punches quicker than Takam. I don't think Joyce gets near Joshua. I really don't. And I don't think he beats Usyk. I'm sorry. He hasn't got the footwork. He just hasn't to keep up with Usyk, who I believe will just dance around him. And I don't think, unlike a Wilder or even a Joshua, he hasn't got that concussive power that's going to knock. It's basically a barrage of punches, isn't it, that overwhelms you. You don't want to be taking 6, 7, 8 shots off Joyce. I fully accept that. And he has got power, but he hasn't got concussive power like a Joshua who can put Usyk to sleep. He hasn't got concussive power like Wilder who can put Usyk to sleep if he catches him in one punch. Imagine what Wilder would do to Joyce. I'm sorry. Again, they talk about his chin, but you cannot keep taking shots like that. You can't. You're going to go night-night. And I don't think Joyce would get out of round 3 with Wilder. I don't think he really gets out of round 4 with Joshua. And for me, Fury just boxes his head off. I don't think Joyce would be able to land a punch against Fury. He's smaller, for instance. He's got a smaller reach than Fury. And he's far, far slower, cumbersome and predictable, isn't he? He marches on in straight lines. And yes, everyone goes on about the juggernaut, and he is. He's got fantastic cardio, very, very good chin, solid jab, but he's predictable, and you cannot be predictable against the world champions that we've got at the moment. He just doesn't beat any of them. And I don't think he even beats the top contenders. Does he beat Dillian Whyte? Possibly. I don't think Dillian Whyte's got the cardio. I don't think he's got the boxing skills or the concussive power. So if you haven't got the power or the boxing skills, you're going to be in trouble against Joyce. There's no question. I think he could probably end up beating Whyte. I do agree. I don't think Whyte, although it will make it uncomfortable for him in them hooks, especially that left hand, I don't think he's got enough to beat Joyce. And, anything below that, Michael Hunter, no. But the elite, yes, they've got power or they've got boxing skill. And unfortunately, it's going to be a horrible night for JoyceUsyk. Could be a horrible night against Dillian Whyte. But I don't think that Whyte holds enough to get Joyce out there, unlike a Joshua or a Wilder. And Chisora, we know, will get beat up by Joyce. I agree with Frank Warren on that. I think that's a good fight. Next, if he wants to keep active, keep fighting, because again, Chisora is pretty slow. He's aging now. He hasn't got the boxing skills, the speed, or he hasn't got the power I'll make it a tough fight, rough and tough fight for 7-8 rounds, and eventually Joyce will walk him down, gas him out, blow him up, slowly beat him up and stop him. He's a smaller man than Joyce, and that will happen. So I think, again, Joyce will do what he did with Takam. He'll get Chisora out there about the 7 or 8 round, because he does sting, he can punch, he holds power when you let him hit you. It's as simple as that. The elite won't do that. So Joyce is in this awkward situation where he's too good for many of them, but not good enough for the few. And that's his problem. He'll still make good money. I think it's an exciting time for him in many ways. And I don't want to look like I'm knocking JoyceUsyk. I'm just being honest. I mean, I know people don't rate him, and that's not fair to say. He's a very, very good fighter. He's just not world champion material with the champions we've got in a very strong era at the moment. There's no question. And he's, next 2 years are big money fights for him. He's either going to fight Joshua or Usyk or Fury. I don't see the Fury fight happening. I think Fury's going to retire in the next 2 years. I think I could see him fighting Wilder, possibly, if Wilder doesn't retire, if he loses to Fury. But he's definitely got a big money fight coming up, pay-per-view, across all platforms, possibly, especially Joshua, DAZN, BT. So, and he deserves that. But that, for me, is his pinnacle. He's not going to get any further than that. JoyceUsyk, mark my words, is a fantastic fighter, a very, very competitive fighter with most people. He's just not world champion material, and that got found out on Saturday night with the amounts of hits he got with Takam, and that will be found out against the big guns of Joshua, Fury, Usyk, and Wilder.